blessings, and welcome to the path to freedom. This beautiful path where we get to set ourselves free to soar, to shine, to glow beyond anything that we've ever imagined, free to allow for ever greater and grander expressions of who and what we are, to emerge from within, to well up from within, free to be in that ever expanding space and field of joy and peace and love and harmony and wholeness and beauty and abundance and creativity and intelligence and all these beautiful qualities. And we do all of this. We're setting ourselves free by releasing and letting go of that which no longer serves, the small, the limited, the thought patterns, the judgments, the opinions, the points of view, the sense of not being enough, the stories, the beliefs, the sense of separation, the sense of lack and scarcity. So gradually, as we release and let these go, we get to fly higher on the wings of love, on the wings of awakening, on the wings of spirituality, on the wings of this loving presence that is all there is. So this is the work that we get to do from week to week to week, from day to day to day, from moment to moment to moment, from year to year to year, from month to month to month. It's an eternal journey that we get to have. This is not a one-stop journey, but this is this stop, and then the next stop, and then the next stop. There's always that next dimension, that next level that we get to go to, and the next iteration of who we are that we get to release or give permission to emerge. So that's what this is. My name is Daniel Roquillo, and I'm always grateful to be joining into this space with you, that we get to share this space, that we get to walk this this path together, that we get to do this work together. For your willingness, I'm grateful for your courage, I'm grateful for your yes, and I'm grateful for you tuning in to this particular message today, to now, which has the topic. I actually need to check the topic because I do not remember it. The topic for today is all is well, so let's just breathe. All is well, so let's just breathe. And this obviously has to do with the first pillar, or perhaps it doesn't serve to put them in hierarchical order. So let's just say that it is one of the pillars. There are three pillars to this path to freedom. There's the pillar of trust and surrender, there's the pillar of practicing the presence, and there's the pillar of mastering the art of manifestation. And the last one I actually just added a short while ago. It's always been here, I just didn't realize that it was one of the founding pillars of this path that we get to walk, but obviously it is. We absolutely need to learn we need to have an understanding of the sacred laws and their principles, and we need to learn to move ourselves into alignment with them, so that the manifestation of the next iteration of who we are, so that our lives begin to align themselves with ease, grace, flow, so that the good that we wish to experience and the way we want to show up in life and what it is that we wish for our lives to be about, so that these may come into our experience with ease and grace, without the struggling, without the efforting, without the toiling, without the fighting, without the competing, without the comparison, but with an ever-expanding and ever-increasing ease and grace and flow. So these are the three pillars that that this path is based upon, or founded upon, built upon. And today's topic, all is well, so let's just breathe. It actually relates to the first pillar of trust and surrender, and the second pillar of practicing the presence. So as we're moving along this beautiful path, and especially now when there's so many things happening in the world, there's so many systemic issues that are coming to the surface that we're becoming aware of. There's violence, and there's injustice, and there's racism, and there's greed, and there's all manner of things coming to the surface collectively, and perhaps in our own lives as well. And as we're walking this path, we are bound to, inevitably, we come face to face with challenges. Every single challenge. I was having a conversation with an individual just a few days ago, and this individual sort of asked, what's the purpose of the ego? What's the purpose of judgments and opinions and fears and worries and doubts? And we got to have a beautiful conversation around how we have been given the free will, and that we are being called to use it. Just like any child that learns to walk needs to build the muscles that will keep and sustain the body upright, needs to build the coordination for the muscles to work in unison for the walking to happen. So the child will not just get up and walk, right? But the child needs to learn from crawling, from creeping, from sitting, and from standing, which would be the next stage of the unfoldment of the child in terms of walking and moving. So the child needs to learn to walk. And so we've been given the free will, and we need to learn for the purpose that we get to choose to be on this path, that we get to choose what it is that we wish to experience, that we get to be more and more conscious participants, which allows for more and more and more of the splendor, of the beauty, of the peace, of the love that Spirit is, that it is eternally seeking to express and reveal more of, which is the purpose of all of creation, so that God may know more of itself. And we've been given the free will to use it, to have sort of polar opposite experiences, so that we get to be more and more mindful of what it is that we are choosing. And so every single challenge is a gift and a blessing of transformation. Every single challenge is a gift and a blessing of transformation. It's a stepping stone. It's a springboard upon which we get to jump onto or leap onto a higher level or a higher expression of ourselves. We get to expand our consciousness. We get to raise our vibration. So none of the challenges that we are facing are against us. They are not life punishing us. They are not life being against us. We're not being tested. We're not being put on trial. We are not being called to prove our worth or value in any sense. But they are just invitations for us to release and let go of something, release and let go of a judgment, of a small and limited opinion or point of view or perception or whatever the case may be, so that we may soar into a higher state of consciousness, right? So we get to trust that even in the midst of this, even in the midst of all of the calamity, even in the midst of all the turmoil, even in the midst of not feeling good, even in the midst of this, all is well, because this loving presence that is all there is, this loving presence, we can call it energy, we can call it spirit, we can call it the higher power, we can call it love, we can call it the one mind, infinite intelligence, whatever we call it, I forgot the scientific term, the unified field. There is the divine matrix. There are different words that we can use, but whatever words we use and lean into, it is the one, right? It is the only thing that is. It is the creator. It is the creation. It is infinite. It is boundless. It is limitless. It is eternal, and it is always for itself. It is always benevolent, always in a state and space of expansion and progression, moving forward, releasing, revealing more of itself, expressing more of itself. So having an understanding of this, that the infinite benevolence of this loving presence of life, allows us to move through the challenges with a sense of peace. And I was just observing, or I have been observing, as I've been moving through what has come to me to be a massive transformation these last few months. I don't think I've ever been, or I know for a fact that I have not, this is the most expansive space I've ever moved through. This is the most transformative space I've ever moved through. There's so much of who I used to be that is being released and let go of. There's so much, and I can't even see who is emerging because I'm still in the midst of it. Just like that caterpillar that dissolves, it cannot see the butterfly until the butterfly has fully emerged. But in the dissolution of the caterpillar, it's all messy. It's all yucky and gooey, and all of that. And I'm in the midst of that. So I know that a butterfly is emerging. I know that a immensely greater and grander version of what I am is emerging, but I can't see it yet. And I have been observing, especially this last week, I had a sort of a peak or a turning point, or I don't know, but something happened a few days ago when I moved into new space, and a profound sense of peace just emerged from within. I still don't know. There's so much that is dissolving. There's so many structures that are crumbling. The who I used to be is I can't navigate by who I used to be and how I used to show up, because that's not valid anymore, right? But the peace is still here. So we get to trust that even in the midst of this, even when we cannot see it, even when we cannot feel it, and the mind frantically tries to figure out what the heck is going on. The mind frantically tries to figure out the way forward, how to navigate through this messiness, right? So enters the second pillar of freedom, practicing the presence. How when the mind just incessantly tries to make sense of that which is happening, when the mind is obsessively trying to wrap itself around, to get comprehension around that which is emerging and that which is unfolding, we get to come back. We get to come back to this now moment, to the nowness of this moment, coming back to the breath, just being with it, just like all of nature is beautifully steeped in the nowness of this moment. As the trees are losing their leaves in the fall, none of them are going into panic mode. As the flowers begin to wither and the petals begin to fall away, the flowers, the seeds, nothing in nature is in panic mode. Nothing in nature is trying to figure anything out. Nothing in nature is trying to micromanage or control the unfolding, but it is so steeped in the trusting that all is well. All is well. And nature just keeps on doing what it is doing, which is allowing for unfolding to happen, which is allowing for expansion to happen. Now, we have been given the independent mind, the reflective consciousness, which most of nature does not have. So we need to do some work around retaining and sustaining the peace. And the work pretty much just consists of us coming back to the nowness of this moment, stepping out of time, releasing past experiences, releasing future projections, fears, worries, doubts, stories of doom and gloom, worst case scenarios, releasing even the mind trying to make sense of this now moment, the present moment, and just come back to the nowness of this moment, stepping out of time and just trusting, just as the body knows how to breathe, just as the body knows how to heal any wound, just as all of nature, just, you know, we're not making the sun rise and set. We're not making the seasons come and go. We're not making the seeds come into or turn into or unfold into whatever destiny the seed has. Nor is nature making anything of this happen, but there's a divine intelligence, this omniscient mind, this infinite mind, this eternal mind that knows all there is to know, that sees all there is to see, that absolutely knows what needs to happen, how it needs to happen, and when it needs to happen for any possibility. And the highest possibility of everything already exists. So we're not making anything up. We're not creating anything. We're just allowing for the next possibility, whatever that might be. We're just allowing for it to emerge. We're just being vessels, instruments that are being used for the expansion of this loving presence that is all there is. So we do not need to assume responsibility for anything, nor do we need to have everything figured out. But all is well, so let's just breathe. Let's just breathe and come back to this now moment. Just the mind is incessant. It is relentless. Let's come back to the breath. Let's come back to this now moment. And come back to the knowing that all is well. Even now, even here, even in the midst of this, all is well. So let's just breathe. Come back. Come back. Come back to the breath and begin again. Come back to the breath and begin again. Come back to the breath and begin over and over and over again. And as we do this, as we use our moments in between, as we habitually begin to cultivate the practice, the habit of coming back to the breath, what we will come to realize, what we will come to experience is an ever-expanding sense of peace. Sense of peace. All is well. It doesn't matter if I can't see it. It doesn't matter if we cannot feel it. It doesn't matter if we don't believe it. All is still well. Just because we cannot see the sun at night doesn't mean that the sun is gone. Just because we cannot see the stars in the middle of the day don't mean that they're not there. They're still there. Just because we cannot see it happening, it doesn't mean that the seasons aren't changing. They are still changing. Just because we cannot see the petals unfolding on that beautiful rose doesn't mean that they are not. They are. We just cannot see it. So we get to trust beyond what we can see. We get to trust beyond what our physical senses can pick up. We get to trust the invisible. We trust gravity, right? To keep us stuck here on this planet. We cannot see gravity. We trust the law of buoyancy to keep ships and boats floating. We cannot see the law of buoyancy. We trust the law of aerodynamics to keep planes in the air, which is a mystery to me. I mean, the mind, every time I try to figure out how planes can actually fly, it just blows my mind, and I cannot do the math behind it. But it doesn't matter. They're still flying, right? So we're working with spiritual principles. We're working with a benevolent presence that is always for itself, that is always for all of itself. And as we are one with it, as we are standing in absolute oneness with it, as we are what it is and it is what we are, it means that all is for us. Life is for us. All of the universe is for us. All of the universes are for us. So all is well. So let's just breathe and rejoice in the knowing that all is well. Even in the midst of fear and worry and doubt, we can still trust that all is well. Just because we're experiencing fear does not mean that we need to give fear power over us. It doesn't mean that we need to be run by fear. We can absolutely move in spite of fear toward the good that we wish to experience. So all is well. So let's just breathe. thank you so, so much for tuning in. Until we meet again, I invite you to share this with anyone you feel might benefit from hearing this. And until we meet again, I absolutely bless our days, and I bless our ways, knowing, absolutely knowing that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for our highest good. Absolutely knowing that perfect preparation and perfect unfolding is always happening. So with much love, many blessings. Namaste.